Hey guys, welcome to Young Money Talk. It's Joseph. Today's video is on the 5Fs. 5Fs of curable. I didn't make these up. They came from Curable. It's a really popular topic in the mind-body world. If you have symptoms and you're not avoiding the 5Fs, you need to start immediately after watching this video. The 5Fs not only can they start symptoms, they can create brand new symptoms. But once they're going, the 5S actually perpetuate and amplify already existing symptoms. So let's talk about it. What is the 5Fs? Fighting, fixing, frustration, focus. I'm forgetting the fear and fear. Yeah. So fear, focus, fighting, frustration, and fixing. You got to memorize them in your own order. Fear, focus, frustration, fighting, fixing. That's how I have it in my mind. Fear, focus, frustration, fighting, and fixing. Those 5Fs. Why do these amplify and perpetuate symptoms? They amplify symptoms because these are all fight or flight emotions. Fear, focus, frustration, fighting, fixing. They're all fight or flight emotions. They all ramp up the nervous system and put you in a state of danger. So it's not going to be helpful for your TMS. And I'll tell you, if you can avoid the 5Fs consistently, you're going to at least get a 20-30% reduction in symptoms just by itself. That is what I've personally experienced, and that's what I've seen in others. Just that alone, and maybe even more than 20-30%, but I don't like to make claims that are not realistic. So you can expect at bare minimum 20-30%, in my opinion, by practicing this over and over and over. But I want to expand this. And by the way, in the description, I'm going to leave a paragraph of what you can do that's the opposite of the 5Fs. So whenever the 5Fs come up for you, you can do the opposite. For example, one of them is when you're fighting, surrender. So it'll give you something to do instead of one of the 5Fs when you're dealing with pain or symptoms. But at some point, I started thinking about it, and I realized, hey, wait a minute. The 5Fs are not just about symptoms and pain. The 5Fs cause symptoms in general in regards to just life in general when you're dealing with external situations and stressors. Let's say you're frustrated about something at work. That has the potential to cause you symptoms. What are you scared of in something you're scared of maybe? That has the potential to cause you symptoms. So you want to avoid the 5Fs when it comes to your pain, but you also want to avoid the 5Fs when it comes to dealing with external stressors and circumstances in your life. And a lot of TMSers get to the point of being in pain because they literally live by the 5Fs. The TMS personality responds to life with the 5Fs. They get frustrated very easily. They're usually easy to scare. They're fearful. They focus. Oh my goodness, hyper focus on their problems. The rest of their life could be perfect, but if there's one thing wrong, then the mind starts to focus on like, yeah, but this is wrong right here, and they hyper focus on that, and that keeps them in fight or flight. So avoiding the 5Fs in your real life circumstances that have nothing to do with pain is also extremely important. It's kind of funny how your mind, in an attempt to protect you from engaging in one of the 5Fs, or maybe all 5 of them, about a life circumstance, it'll divert you so that now you're directing these 5Fs towards pain and symptoms instead of the real circumstance. So what I started to do was I started to think, okay, what am I fearing, focusing on, frustrated about, fixing, or focusing on? I'm so sorry if I said one of them twice. Yeah. But anyways, what am I 5Fing about in my real life is what I started to ask myself. And that helped me to start breaking down the diversion strategy in my recovery. Now, I do want to talk about a caveat here, and that's fighting. So we don't fight the symptoms, we don't fight the pain when we're dealing with chronic pain. However, that doesn't mean you just turn into a cold fish and you just start saying, oh, I don't care. Yes, you do. When I was in pain really bad, I cared. You should care. That's the only way you're going to get better. So although fighting is a fight or flight emotion and you want to avoid it, it's different when you're fighting for yourself versus fighting with yourself. The brain can somehow, in my opinion, can tell the difference. How do I know? Because I feel it somatically. I felt the difference when I changed my attitude from fighting the symptoms to fighting for myself and understanding the symptoms are not an enemy, it's a message. You don't treat your body like an enemy, because if you do, it's going to treat you like an enemy. Your body's your friend. Dr. Dan Ratner says it's the most empathic entity that we have on this earth, and he's right. Nobody cares for you like your own body does. And so when you realize it's a friend and it's giving you a message, you begin to understand you don't have to fight your body, because that makes things worse, and it's also on your side. So it's a stupid thing to do. So what you do instead is you fight for yourself. So you do care about recovery, you do care about getting better, but instead you start to apply that energy and you start to fight for yourself. And what that looks like is when these 5 F's come up, you say, no more. I deserve better than this. We, mind, body, we deserve better than this. And we're no longer fighting with ourselves anymore. Now we're going to fight for ourselves. And that little change right there is so soothing. I remember the day I realized that my body's my friend and not my enemy. And I hope that you make that same realization as well. So 5 F's, huge topic. Practice it, memorize it. Again, it's going to be in the description. Read it over and over until you get it, and apply it every day, every single time. Do not allow any of these fight or flight emotions to linger any longer than they have to without conscious intervention every single time. I'm not joking, every single time. Okay, and I know these TMS perfectionists, I have to say this because I did this too, and a lot of you guys are perfectionists if you're watching this and you're in chronic pain. Okay, if you don't do it every single time, don't beat yourself up, okay? And if you do beat yourself up, don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up, okay? Don't do that, because I used to do that too. So don't criticize yourself if you don't get it right away and you fall into one of the 5 F's, even after you know better. Like, this is not going to happen right away. It's going to take time. You're not going to be perfect at it. But whenever you mess up, just remind yourself, okay, let me just do this more than I'm not. Start with that. Start to avoid the 5 F's more than you're engaging in the 5 F's. And if you mess up, you forgive yourself. If you do criticize yourself, then you forgive yourself for criticizing yourself, and you move on, and you get back on the wagon, and you move on. You start building these great habits, and you continue on your recovery journey. So guys, if you like this video, leave a comment, subscribe. Peace out.